All right. Welcome back to the Pretty Awkward Entrepreneur podcast and to our first official couples conversations episode. I can't believe I just said that. I'm so excited. And I feel like this has been a long time coming. And we are kicking it off. Honestly, it's almost bad that we're kicking it off this way because I don't know if you can get better than this interview is going to be. We have Eve and Randall Guzman in the house, two of my favorite humans in the world. So I'm just so excited to have you guys on and have you as the first couple conversations couple. So welcome to the podcast, you guys.
We appreciate it. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yay. And my husband, Mike, is here with me as well. So you can say hi, Mike.
I appreciate the intro. Thank you.
I'm like assuming everyone knows you right now. Don't worry, you were introduced in the other intro, but we are really pumped just to kick it off. And just so we make sure everyone knows you, Eve's been on the podcast multiple times, I think 3, maybe even 4 times at this point. But in case my audience and listeners don't know about Eve and Randall, I would love you guys to just share a little bit about yourselves, who you are, your business, and then we're going to get into the good stuff.
Who's going first?
Oh. Go first.
We're going to learn so much about your relationship by that too.
Yeah. You said do what?
You crop my head out.
God, just be ready. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, you guys, hi.
Yeah,
welcome
such a good
back
start.
to, the podcast world with Megan. I am Eve. A lot of people know me as Eve Fit Chick. I lost an extreme amount of weight about 7-8 years ago, and I had a lot of people just asking me, hey, you've lost a lot of weight, what are you doing, can you help me, what do you do for workouts, do you work out fasted, what do you eat for pre-workout, just like all the basic questions. And I started answering the questions, and then eventually people were like, can you just help me like one-on-one? And I'm like, okay, like I don't know what to do. I don't really know what to charge. I think I'm kind of smart. I got some experience. And so that led to me doing one-on-one nutrition coaching, macro-based nutrition coaching. And we started that back in 2014. It was mostly me doing it as a business. Randall was kind of just, getting fit too and doing all the other nutrition and fitness stuff behind the scenes. And little did I know that advice coming off of my own personal journey of losing 150 pounds was going to stem into us creating a nutrition coaching academy, which led to a lot of digital products, which led to a macronutrition coaching certification that's become a national, you like that? National.
Hell yeah, I love it.
Which led to this dream of, I would love for you to just retire with me. And so fast speed ahead, about 7-8 years after starting, now we work together and we retired completely from corporate America. So that's kind of like my story in a condensed tidbit.
Yeah. For me,
I think it was well done. I'd say so.
Hey, she's great. She's a hard follow. You know what I mean? I should have went first.
Eve's got her elevator pitch done.
Yeah.
I need to work on that very much. So you can teach me some.
Take notes, Mike. Take notes.
I actually have a couple already. I'm working on it.
I love it.
All right. About me, I'm Randall. As she stated, when we first opened up the business, I was working full time. So I was just working on getting fit. At that time, I lost a lot of weight too. I lost over 100 pounds, counting macros. So at that point, I started learning more to become a coach. And then I started coaching a little bit, but then I took a promotion at work so we could grow the business. We needed to fund the business. So I took a promotion at work, which basically meant I was there all the time at that point. So I kind of disconnected with the business for, 5 years?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was about 5 years where I was barely home. So it was like I would just work while we were building the business, or more while she was building the business. And I was just helping from a financial aspect. And then it was maybe a year before I left, 1.5 years. I come home and she's like, I think you're going to retire early. I was planning to get out by 50. That was our plan. And I ended up getting out by 38. She was like, well, she told me, she was like, I think we got it. I think you're going to be able to get out. I was like, yeah. And in my head, I was like, nah, like I'm gonna still be working. So, I mean, and then Macro Mentorship was born, and it kind of opened that avenue for me to be able to join the business. So, during the pandemic, I was laid off. I was 50% laid off. And I started working on ads, learning how to do advertising and marketing, because I was like, if I'm really going to think about coming into the business, I want to be able to actually make money. I want to be able to save the business money. I need to have a skill. And at that time, I had nothing but automotive manufacturing skills. So I learned
heavyweights.
Yeah, I could lift heavyweights. That wasn't going to help us. So I learned the ads. I learned how to run the ads and everything. And then once I got good at it, I started building my confidence and started learning other things. And to make a long story short, come November, I retired.
No, September,
I retired from my corporate job, and I came in as the COO, and now I handle all of the marketing, the financing, and whatever other issues come up. That's my job. I'm the problem solver.
I love it. You're the problem solver, so Eve can live in her zone of genius and just do that.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, we'll probably end up getting into that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Roles.
I definitely-
We have
I'm
our
sure.
roles.
Yeah.
I love this. You guys, and I mean, everyone, I'm going to encourage obviously everyone to go follow you guys and learn even more about your detailed stories, because there's so much to that. But I'll never forget when you guys were telling me that you think you're going to be going full time in the business together. And I was like, this is a huge monumental moment. And something that you said that before we even dive into the other questions I wanted to ask, that just stood out to me so big, because I think it took Mike and I a long time to get there, is you said we needed to fund the business. Like I feel like from maybe not from the beginning, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you were always approaching the macro mentorship business, Eve's business. I'm going to say Eve's business for now, when Eve was the front and face and center, as a team, even when you were still working in your corporate job, right? So I'm curious, like, was that something from the beginning that you always approached it as a team and we're like doing it together versus like, this is Eve's business, this is Randall's job? And if not, how you got there? Because I think that's really huge.
Since we were married.
Yeah. So
Day one.
yeah, we've
Actually,
been
even that, ever since I was pregnant with our daughter, which was pre-marriage, our whole business life has been like a financial and support balancing act. If he's up and I'm down, he's like carrying me.
Yeah.
If I'm up, I'm making money, I'm whatever, and he's in school or not making as much, like we're carrying each other all the time.
Basically, we were broke. So,
Broke.
we were broke. Yeah. And we were broke. We had our daughter. We had our daughter our junior year of college, and we were forced to build that bond in order to survive. Like, it was like, okay, we were actually exchanging our daughter in between classes, or like I'm shuffling her off to Eve so I can go to work and make some money real quick in between classes and this, that, and the other. And that's kind of how that bond was built. And it was like, okay, everything is ours. Nothing is mine. Nothing is yours. And everything is for the good of the family. So when I used to play football, like I played arena football for a few years, and everything was kind of all about me. So it was like, I was gone every weekend. I was gone to games, this, that, and the other. All she did was support. So down the road, 10 years later or so, when she asked, can she do this and do I support her? It was a no-brainer for me. Like, yeah, I support you. I'll push you. I'll let you do whatever you want to do. I'll support it. And I believe in you if you believe in you. So let's do it.
That's seriously the infamous quote. That's how.
And we spent all of our savings right after I said it.
That's exactly what he said, because, you know, Megan and I had entered in the same mastermind, and it was not cheap. Like, it was definitely, like, compared to some of the products you and I offer now, it was expensive 5 years ago. And I was like, I don't know, like, we scraped together everything. And that's exactly what it said. If you believe in you, I believe in you, which was like a lot of, you know, pressure. But I mean, it was literally just back and forth like the entire time. Like, there were times when I was finishing school, he was working extra hours. I took a year off after my first bachelor's so he could finish. And it was like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And there's been times in our careers, corporate, I've made more or he's made more. And I mean, that would have literally been the only way that we would have made it, because somebody's got to fund this thing. Like, who's going to pay?
You guys have, I love this because you approached it right off the bat, and you kind of, like you said, were forced to, with your situation. Like, you're like, we're either going to sink or swim together. We have to do this. Mike, that sounds just like our story. We totally approached it together the same way. I'm being very sarcastic right now. I know Mike wants to chime in on this. So
sounds polar opposites as to how we approach it. It's very beautiful to hear. I mean, it's also funny too, because I didn't know what hard work was until I started. When I worked in Manhattan for a few years, but then like seeing people who truly work hard, it's amazing to me, because I never quite worked all that hard in my life. So kudos to you. But yeah, no, I mean, we did not. I mean, I think I try to explain this to people when I'm on the podcast with Megan, and some of them talk about how like the disconnect inside their relationship and business, and how they can bring their partner in on it. And I can only speak to our situation, because when we first started, it was the complete disconnect. It was a polar opposite of what you guys did. And honestly, I don't know if you said it before, you might've said something, Megan, but I still don't even feel like we're close to where Eve and Randall would be at. Because when you talk about it, when I talk about it, it's still such a shift, and it has to get there. And it's, even when I think about it, I'm like, it's Megan's business. Like, sure, now I'm editing the podcast, now I'm doing more stuff, and it feels tangible, but it's just going to take time, because I also was running, we had two businesses that were running separately, and our marriage was not in a place. And I think that was the biggest part of it. Megan was preparing to separate, and I mean, I don't know what I was doing, but I was running my business, and it was just there. So it was, I mean, it all started with that. It never felt like it was a combined situation for us.
And I feel too, like, I said, we're starting from the top with you guys, right? Like, this is like, you guys did this the right way from the beginning. And that's what I love this. I know we're going to get into, hey, it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. You had some bumps along the way. But I will just never forget, Eve was one of my, well, still is, but at that time specifically was one of my best friends while we were going through our separation leading up to it. And I always looked to you guys as such a model of a relationship that I wanted, that felt realistic. It wasn't one of these like, Instagram filter kind of marriages that you see. It was real. You had your ups and downs. But I'll just never forget, Eve, you were telling me like, just even how you guys run your finances and things like that. And you just were a unit. You were a unit. You thought of each other as a team, versus separate. And Mike had a very successful ticket business. I have a very successful coaching business, but because it was so separate, because it was like mine and his, we would conflict on money all the time. We would fight about money. We would fight about all that stuff because it was so separate. So I just think already you guys had such a beautiful way of going into your business. And now Randall being fully in the business where this is a unit, we sink or swim together. And I just love it. I think it's amazing. So I want to dive in because I know that, well, first off, actually, how long have you been married? I know, but I don't think the audience knows yet. So how long have you guys been married for?
Answer the question, because you can't never get it right.
Oh no,
you
I'm
can never get it right.
I was looking at the camera like, he better answer. You know what? Like an hour before we got on here, I had to recalculate it. This is probably the thing I'm the worst at. I have to count the years back. I'm pretty sure 17. Right?
Yeah, 17 years. So we've been married 17.
Good job, Eve.
16. I would have said 16 90 minutes ago. I was like, we're allowed to cuss on this podcast?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, bitch, you better get this right today. You better get this right today.
To be fair, the form says 16 years.
Oh, yeah, he's looking at the form.
Hey, that sounds about right. That's her right there.
I looked and I was like, I want to see what she says and what the form says.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm not surprised. So yeah, we've been together for a total of, I think,
21 years. Yeah.
Wow.
But married, I think it's because we graduated different years, what throws me off. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to go for any excuse.
We got married the year I graduated. She graduated a year before me. So
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
awesome.
been 17 years.
It's been a minute. You guys have it's been a minute that you've been married, which is just again so incredible. And I feel like every time I see you, you just get stronger and stronger. And really, Mike and I were talking about this with friends and our relationship coaches, like as when we were being brought up, like we looked at marriage almost like a jail. Like that's how we saw so many people joke around about marriage. Like, oh, you're married. Like now you're in jail, you can't have fun anymore. And we saw that modeled a lot to us too in our own parents' relationships and had to really like fight against that. And again, seeing people like you and other couples that we look up to, like it is only getting better. Like every single day, it is getting better when you put the work into it and when you have that perspective. But I just remember like always hearing those phrases about marriage and like, this doesn't sound like fun. And 17 years later, it's, you know, you guys are just thriving. So, okay. So you don't need to go into you can go into as much or as little detail, obviously, as you want with this question. But what was a moment in your relationship that was really tough to get through? And how did you get through it? And there were probably so many. So if you want to relate it specifically to the business building, you totally can. But any like pivotal moments in your relationship that you think others would have maybe given up that you pushed through?
You want to do this one?
You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I
I'll definitely do.
So I think one of the times that really, it was a make or break us moment for our marriage. And it was like, we had decided that we were moving to Arizona. I think we were 28 years old. We knew
we were that age.
Yeah, maybe 27. We knew nobody in Arizona. We knew nobody on that side of the country. So we just decided we were up and moving. She had a job offer with her, with the company she worked for at that time. And we just did it, right? We up and moved with our 2 kids and we moved to Arizona. And it's like, we get there and it's like, shit, like we're out in the middle of the desert and we have no support. We know nobody, right? So we're out there and I'm looking for a job. She found a job and I finally found a job. And then one of our cars gets totaled. So we get another car. The transmission goes out on it. Mind you, we know Yeah, at this point, we pretty much depleted all of our funds too. So this transmission goes out. So after the transmission goes out, we find a shop and we put it in the shop. And now I'm taking both of the kids to school and daycare and dropping her off in the morning at work before I go to work. And then doing the same thing when I get out of work. Okay, about a week later, we're driving, all of us in the car, and the car starts acting up. My wife knows nothing about vehicles, nothing. And she goes, oh my God, she starts crying. She's like, the transmission is going out. And I'm like, nah, transmission's not going out.
Again.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's not. So the transmission went out. So we had 2 cars, no transmission. We're low on cash and we're way out in the middle of the desert. And we don't really have anybody we can call on to get money or anything like that. So at that point, it was kind of like either we're going to band together and figure this out any way possible, or we would kind of sink, or we would sink. And we had to drive a car around and only went 35 miles an hour for like 2-3 months. And we're dropping everybody off in the family, right? With this one car because that's all we had.
Everybody, which made us feel even more broke.
Yeah.
They just get off the road. And I'm like, this is all we can go.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was horrible, man. It was horrible. But like being alone in those situations out there like that, when we were struggling and we didn't have money to do this or didn't have money to do that and had to figure out how to get this transmission fixed or how to get a new car. And eventually we did. And once we got through those situations, it was kind of like, all right, like nothing can break us now. Like it was such a building moment to be like, okay. And then we also were like this afterwards. We were really tight. So it didn't matter who tried to come in between us. No one could come in between us because now it was at the point where we could rely on each other and we were more of best friends than we were of anything else. So
and he hated it there.
I hated it.
So like
I hated Arizona.
Outside of that struggle, like financially, no friends. Like I had a network because I transferred with my job to open up a research lab. But I don't think 7 days would pass without him going, I'm moving back to Indiana. I'm going home. I'm buying a ticket tonight. His mom would be like, don't. I'm like, don't leave me. You know, and like I thought he was so so disappointed with what we thought Arizona was going to be, just culturally, everything. It just wasn't what we thought. And it was so underdeveloped. And it's just, I mean, it was just crazy that I was like, I don't think we're going to make it. I mean,
we fought. We were fighting through that. When we were bonding, when we built that bond, it was a lot of fighting going on. Like,
I mean, there will be,
Yeah. Like it wasn't peaches and cream, and we're all like, yeah, kumbaya, we're gonna do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hated it. And I felt like he might have resented me because I got that job to transfer across the country to open up a brand new lab. He hated his job. You know, we didn't have as many friends, lack of money. We had nice cars that were just gone because, you know, once the transmission is gone, what is the car even worth?
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard. It made us. Like, if that wasn't going to make us, we were going to divorce. And that wasn't the first time we probably thought about divorcing.
Like a lot of people have, and we were the same. Like a lot of people have ties with family, and when they get in the middle of it, it kind of mixes stuff up. Well, after we had the Arizona incident or trip, or we lived in Arizona for 2 years. Once we came back from then, it was just like, it didn't matter what anybody else said. It was just us. Yeah. At the end of the day, it was just us.
Yeah. So another piece of advice, if no one's reading between the lines, keep your family out of your personal business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you trash about a partner and then you guys forgive, you heal, you move on, they're always thinking the trash that you've said. So you literally, like, if you tell one person, this was advice somebody gave me, and I stopped talking about it, our problems. If you tell one person, that's one person too many. So that stuff like was ruining us. You know, Randall doesn't want to live here. And he's like, she got this job and I hate it. That ruins you when you let everybody in on your personal problems.
Yeah. With family specifically. Like if you have a close, you know, knit, like Eve, sorry, Mike. I complained to Eve a lot about you, but she's still like,
I mean, I agree and disagree. I mean, I think there's people that would not judge. It's really the judgment is where it comes down to. Like I've had conversations about, when we separated, I knew the people I'd be telling would not judge what would happen in the future. Like they knew Megan well enough to know, like, these were our issues, but they don't have to do with who she is as a person. They're our issues for us to figure out.
For sure. I definitely have a couple key people that I talk to when we're going through something. But I mean, for me, I know it has to be someone that can tell me I'm wrong when I'm wrong. Ooh. Just because you're my friend more than you're her friend, you can't tell me I'm right if I'm wrong. Yeah. And then I have a bond with a few people like that, and we check each other. Like, okay, nah, this is on you. Like, you gotta go fix this because you messed up.
Yeah. So important to have. Yeah. Mike, did you want to ask something from what they were saying? Because I saw you unmute yourself.
No, I mean, I wanted to say that. I mean, it's just, no, the comment I was going to make was just how many times, this was from a while ago, was just, I remember probably, it might've been before we separated, if not right after, how many times Megan would bring up you guys as examples. Yeah. I mean, every time she talked about the business, she'd be like, oh, it's like, Eve and Randall do this, Eve and Randall do this. So I'm like, all right. And then we met in Tampa. I was like, all right, it's Eve and Randall.
He's like, I get it.
Yeah. That was cool. Yeah, we'll have to do that again.
I know. Well, I think because, like you said, there were a couple moments, you know, you look at you two now and you think, wow, power couple, like just us against the world. Like they're just unstoppable. But like you said, Eve, there were like a couple moments you were on the brink of divorce. This wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. And this sounds like it was one of them. And they're like, yeah. And so I can just imagine adding in a business element and adding in the financial element and expanding, and Randall, you coming into the company full time. Like I can imagine while it was so exciting, it also added some stress and some questions and some things you had to figure out. So overall, how was that like a transition? Was it bumpy? Was it smooth sailing? I would just love to hear about you bringing Randall coming on full time.
Nothing about it was smooth. I'll tell you that right now. I'll let you start off, but nothing about it was smooth.
He's like, it was so smooth. First episode. Right.
From what I've seen, honestly, it wasn't too bad compared to like some things that we've seen. But like I had all these like dreams of like what I wanted our business to look like, how I wanted him to feel, who I wanted him to be, what role I wanted him to have. And we came in and we kind of tried that, and that shit kind of blew up. It blew up. It was just messy. And then like I would cry because I'm like, this is hard. you to retire, work with me, live life, travel the world, all this stuff. I'll say all this bullshit, but we are doing that. So that is happening.
Yeah.
But then it was like, God, I can't make him be this role, do this job. And so we went through a period of him like trying what things he liked and didn't like, and then creating roles that were separate, deciding how we would work each day together, separate, whatever, hours. It was a lot of trial and error, but I think the thing that saved us, because I see a lot of people just hop into business together and it just crumble, is when it got bad and when it felt like this isn't working, we would sit down and be level-headed and be honest and communicate.
Mhm.
So if I was like, you're not good at this role, I would say it. It took a second. It took conversation number 2. Or he would eventually be like, I don't like doing this.
Yeah, I won't do it.
And I think I want to do this. But if we wouldn't have had those conversations, I mean, it could have been a potential that he would have been like, I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
definitely was trying. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it's funny you said trial and error, and that's what I wrote down. And it's like, I think the biggest thing about going to business is the way your relationship is. You have that trust. You have like the trust in the person that you said it, like they're going to be with you through thick and thin. And you have to be able to be honest with that person. And if you don't have that, that's why I think Megan and I were never in a situation before 2020, before we separated, to do a business together, because I trusted her. She did not trust me that I would be there, that I would do what I said I was going to do. And if you don't have that trust in the relationship, you can't have those conversations. For sure. Because you don't trust that the person is going to be honest with you, or you're going to get defensive and hold on to resentment and all that. So for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah. And that's big of you to admit, because
it is.
I'll say
some people aren't mature enough to figure that out, let alone say it. And sometimes just saying something is like then getting you in the step of the right direction. I mean, we had some deep conversations.
Yeah, we've had some. Like, it
we
definitely
talk about anything,
was a learning curve.
Thank God.
But it wasn't always that way. And like she used to always be defensive whenever we would talk. So like we couldn't really get a conversation going. And we had to work through that. I mean, we've been in couples counseling and things like that to actually learn how to communicate with each other. And then like you said, you found out some things about you. I found out some things about myself. Like I thought I was listening, but I wasn't a good listener at all.
Yeah.
Or a communicator. Like I'm a one-word guy. Like I'm talking now, but I don't love to talk. So I used to be a manager when I worked in the automotive facility. So it was like I talked all day long. I presented, I talked, I led meetings, this, that, and other. So when I would come home, my version of being nice, when she asked me what my day was like or how'd it go, it was bad almost every day. So my version of being nice was like it was cool. And then I would be done talking. Well, now she's in her feelings because she wants to have conversation, but I'm thinking that I'm doing the right thing by not putting all that stress on her that I've been through all day or whatnot. And it was really like breaking down our marriage. And at a certain point, she had to tell me like that, okay, you're not talking to me, but you're mean and you're bringing it home every day. So I had to make a conscious effort to change that. And
it's about asking
a lot.
Yeah, asking what you need. Megan we can say that endlessly, asking for what you want in a relationship.
Yeah.
And what you need in a relationship.
It's so hard to though, right? Like Eve, like I'm sure many of those first times when Randall would come home, you would get upset and not say anything, right? Like I didn't say anything for so long what I needed, and it's really, I think that's one of the hardest things on both sides for people to ask for what they need. Especially if you feel like the person is like working really hard, and sacrificing a lot. And you're like, I don't want to be selfish and ask for this thing, but it's actually, you're both like speaking the same language, just like through different channels almost. You both actually want the same thing at the end of the day. You want the love, you want the connection, you want all of that. And so I love that you guys mentioned you've been in counseling, you've gotten help with communication, because I think we had a very similar where I thought we were great listeners. I thought we were great communicators. And then we actually got counseling. I was like, oh, we're not good at this. We need a lot of help. And it changed everything. So I love that you guys brought that up. I'm curious, before we dive in a little bit more to how you work together in your business, there was a good chunk of time, obviously, Eve, where you were building your business while Randall was in his job and supporting, obviously, you guys investing in it, all of that, like we said earlier. How did you guys support each other during those really busy building times when you didn't have a ton of disposable income and a lot of your savings went into these investments? Like, Eve, how did you support Randall with his job? And then Randall, how did you support Eve, whether it was like emotionally, with specific things? I'm just curious because a lot of people listening don't have their partners in their business together. So just like how they can support their partner.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably sum this up really easy for you.
Have at it.
Complete honesty, like
always
for him. Okay, supporting him because he's working lots of hours, and I was in the business. They were like, how it is in the beginning, lots of hours with very little money coming in as an entrepreneur, like 8 to 12-hour days, and maybe you made $100. Maybe you don't make $100 for 2 weeks. Like it's whatever it is. The things that he needed that are probably essential to most marriages. Are you laughing? You know what I'm going to say?
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
So a decently clean house, not having to be immaculate, but he doesn't want to come home and see crap all over the place. A plan for food. It doesn't have to be that I cooked it. It could be whatever, carry out, whatever, we're going to dinner, whatever, and sex.
Yeah.
Those are essential pieces of the marriage.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you went there. Yay.
So, I mean, honestly.
That's what I was waiting on.
These just anymore.
Yeah.
The easiest way. Eventually, yes, we'll talk about it, but I know sex.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So, if you can find a way to segue to that, but that's honestly some of the stuff.
That is. Yeah. And then for me, I think because I was gone so much, so my work schedule, I used to get up and I worked an hour away from home. So I would get up and leave work about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. And a lot of times I wouldn't get home to at least 7 on a good day, 6:30, 7 o'clock PM on a good day. So for me, the big thing was on the weekends. My wife loves to go places. She loves to travel. She loves to go out to eat. She loves to go places.
I just date.
When you work that many hours a week, you don't really want to go to anywhere. I like being at home. So my thing was to make that effort to date her. So it was make sure you're dating her. Make sure when I come home from work, I'm not just being mean as hell and I'm talking to her and then asking her what she's been going through today. Because when it first started, I kind of was I'm just going to put my head down and keep making money and grind. And what happens or whatever. She's good. She got it. But then I had to learn that, okay, she does need to hear from me. She does want me to ask about what's going on. She does want me to be okay, yes, we should do this or we shouldn't do that. When she was doing fit camps, she wanted me to come help her run the fit camps. So sometimes we would go, I was working third shift for 7-8 weeks because we had an issue at work. So we're running fit camps and then I'm showering at the facility and then just going to work. Just it was a lot, but it was it was just what we did to support each other.
Yeah.
And
it sounds like you guys too, you kind of alluded to this before, but you go through seasons where Randall, your job required more and then Eve, your business required more, and even now that you're both in the business together, I'm sure there's seasons of if you're in a really busy push season where some of Randall's responsibilities are more, and then there's seasons where Eve, your responsibilities are more, if there's the creation part. So it sounds like you guys really just go, okay, who needs the help right now or who needs the support and how do we balance it out versus I hear people all the time, they're 50-50, split everything down the middle. And I'm oh, that's not going to work in a marriage. It's really, it's all about, like you said, a team. And that's what I keep hearing you guys say, which is just you're really approaching it like a team, which is amazing. Mike, did you want to add something?
No, I was just gonna say, it can work in some marriages when you have more of a set schedule. But yeah, when you're having when you're an entrepreneur and things go back and forth so much and things are switching, then yes, I would say it needs to be there's ebbs and flows.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So what is your biggest advice for couples or actually before I ask that question, I want to ask something else. What are some things that you do to separate your business from your marriage? Because you're together all the time. You're now in business together. So, and I know for Mike and me, we actually talked about this recently. He was gone a lot for poker. And while I didn't like him gone that much, there were some things I liked about him being gone because I actually got to miss him and I got a lot done, and he got more done too. Like it's definitely goes both ways, but I can see where, especially if you're working together, there can be overlap. So I'm curious how you separate your business from your marriage.
We spend a lot of time together. Yeah. Honestly, anywhere we go, people, if they don't see us together, they're like, where's the other one?
Yeah.
It's really weird. It's uncomfortable to go to an event and he's not there. And they're asking me the whole time. Or if he goes and travels and sees our friends and I can't be there, they're asking. So, I mean, we're together a lot. And I don't know. I mean, maybe there was a point where I thought, oh, he probably doesn't like it. It's just me. I fucking love it. I love being with him all the time. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're judging me, well, this is my best friend. And I'm not just saying that for people to be like, oh, they think they're so fucking perfect. No. He's my best friend. I love spending all my time with him and I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks.
So
I think that's the dream though. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's work. I mean, it works really good, but I mean, and then sometimes, but what you said, like how we separated, sometimes I'll just have to tell her, like, we're not talking about work right now.
Yeah.
Like we're
stop him.
Yeah.
No work.
And like, yeah, I get the same way. But like she said, like we love being together. I think because we grew together and we kind of had the same common interests. We bonded in the gym. And that's where our relationship got really tight. But we do so many things together that we like. We kind of talked about a lot about what do you want out of life? What do you want? What do you enjoy? This, that, and other. And I think both of us started doing other things that the other person liked more. Like when she watches football with me, it's like if I see her watching football with me, like it's like it does something for me. And I'm like, okay. Like, I got to make sure that she gets to do whatever she wants to do. If she wants to go to the coffee shop or this, that, and the other, I'm going to deliver on it. But it's all sacrifice. And then through sacrifice, I think it became kind of second nature where we kind of liked what the other one does after a while. It took effort in the beginning, but now it takes no effort to do it.
But for our business, we're in separate offices.
Yeah.
And we got into separate offices. It's probably gonna be a shocker for people. I cried.
Yeah, she did. She did.
I love you, Eve.
Because what would happen?
But it had to happen.
It was hard. Like, honestly, to be all the way honest, when he decided to have a separate office in the house, I felt like our world was like, I was like, he's not.
She acted like I was divorcing her.
Oh my God.
That's how hard I take because we don't have a lot of bad stuff happen. We don't have a lot of arguments, a lot of fights anymore. We just fight all the fucking time.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like when we were separated, and we can get to that. We fought all the time.
We've been separated.
So when he was like, this isn't working, I need a separate office. I mean, I cried for like 3 days. I would come in here, close the door and cry and act like I was working. I know that sounds pathetic, but like that's how bad I took it. But it would be like, oh, I'm on a Zoom with Meg. And he's like, I got to pack all my shit up and go somewhere.
It wasn't even that deep while I moved office. It's not like that we were in here and we were just got into a knockdown, drag out fight or anything. It was like, okay, like I day trade some too. And so like, if I'm in the office and she has 3 different interviews that day, like I can't be over here working. So now I have to relocate. And I'm like, we have an extra room in the house. I'm going to that extra room and I'm gonna set up my office. I was like, we're just not gonna share offices anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, we need a separate office for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. A year. But for me, the reason why I got upset in my head, I was like, is this the foreshadowing of us working together as entrepreneurs not going to work out? That's why I got upset. I'm like, oh my God, this dream I have I forced my dream on him? I was just like, oh, this is the beginning of the end in my mind.
Yeah. And then it's just being able to have the conversation that you just had together.
Yeah.
Like being like, oh, this is what I'm thinking and this is what's happening. The story in my head is this, but it's no, I just need to not listen to you do 3 interviews while I'm day trading for a few hours, and that's it. That's the end of it. It's nothing. There's no deeper meaning into this. It is just that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now we need separate offices.
We need to be told that stuff, though.
You said what?
We need to, women, at least I know me, and I know we're very similar in this way. We need to be told that over and over. Otherwise we'll take it personally and we'll like make this whole story up in our head. And then we're like,
yeah, exactly.
They don't love me anymore. And it's like, no, I need to not hear you on an interview. It's so funny. I did the same exact thing over here.
I think, what are you talking about?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, because I remember for years, Megan would talk about when I worked in the city and I was gone for a lot of day and like being able to miss. So Megan, that was a lot of the thing with poker. I would struggle sometimes to leave to go play poker because I just wanted to be home and with Megan because we do love each other. We're similar in that way, but definitely a little bit different where like when I was playing poker, for us, it was more intimacy wise. That attraction level definitely increased when we were away from each other. We were able to miss each other more. So that, I mean, everybody's going to be different in certain regards. And that's what we noticed for us. But I would struggle to leave because I'm like, I could stay home and I just want to be around you, but I need to leave and go do something.
I think he says that, and I think he just wants to be around our dog, but it's fine. I'll pretend. No, I agree. It's very similar in many ways. Yeah. Like Mike said, which I love. So Eve, you just said something that I want to pinpoint because not everyone will be as comfortable or open, but I know you guys are. And obviously, you know, our stories so in depth. You went through it with me, I feel like, and you separated. And so you are one of those success stories with us because they're rare that people who separate actually end up stronger. This is very rare. The statistic is very low. Most people who separate do not get back together. So what did the times that you separated, what did that actually do to help your relationship?
Maybe you should start with the first one.
So the first time we separated, I mean, we weren't even married for 6 months. Like we weren't even married for 6 months.
But disclaimer, we were like, when we got married, we were 22, 23.
Yeah, we were I was 22. She was 23 when we got married.
And our daughter was she?
Deja was,
or was it older? Hold on. What year was it?
She was about 3 or 4. Yeah, she was about 3 or 4.
I don't remember.
No, we were like, I got married at 22. So it basically, one, I had never been around marriage. So that was the first, like, just where I had it all messed up. I didn't know how to be married. I never seen married people like that, this, that, and the other. I didn't have a father growing up. So the guys I kind of looked up to, they were in the streets all the time, hanging out, partying, doing this and doing that. So in my head, I wasn't getting married until I was at least 40 anyway, right? So,
joke's on you.
Right.
What the snack be?
Yeah. So I meet her and I used to tell her back then, I used to be like, man, I was supposed to meet you when I was like 30, 32 or something like that. I wasn't supposed to meet you at 19. But she had a different idea in mind and she wanted to be married, you know, and she let me know that. And at the end of the day, I didn't want to lose her because I knew what I had. So, you know, we ended up figuring it out and putting it together and we got married. Well, of course, we had all those communication issues. I was young. I was playing football. I was partying, going to the clubs, hanging out with my friends all night, this, that, and the other, while she's at home, taking care of the baby, taking care of home or whatnot. And it was putting a lot of stress on our marriage. And when she got an attitude with me, I took it as, okay, she didn't really love me. She wasn't there for me like that. I didn't look at the fact that I was putting her through all what I was putting her through by just hanging out, doing what I wanted to do. Like I'd come home and my friends want to go eat wings and I'm like, all right, we're going to eat wings. I come home, change clothes. I'm going to the club. Like, and that's what we were doing. And then I left. And I think when I left, like I had a chance to fill that void. When I left, she actually took a job in another city that and she was supposed to take it in my city that I'm from and left me and went down there to work. And I was like, she's not playing. You know what I mean? She's not playing. She left and she took my daughter with her down there. So like I would have to go back and forth and I'm hearing my mom's all in my ear about how I'm supposed to be there for my family and this, that, and the other too. But her actually doing that kind of let me know like what I really wanted and where I really wanted to be. And the streets and all of that wasn't it. So for me, that's what made me kind of realize, okay, I need to get my shit together. You know what I mean? And get back in this because I missed my wife. I missed my daughter.
You wanted an annulment.
Yeah, I did.
Like whatever they can do to make it look like we never got married, he's like, I want that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
But he was saying like, you're not supportive of me, or you don't love me. I'm like, what the hell are you fucking talking about? I'm at home. Like,
it just shows that young. Like, yeah, you guys are so young. That's first. Like, I think it's just part of growing up too. When I have friends who are super young, or nieces and nephews and all that, I'm like, oh, you just need to grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really part of it. But it also just sounds like you know, when you're saying one thing, but hearing another, like Randall saying something and you're hearing it differently. It's again, that communication is just everything. But I also want to, you know, give you both kudos to like working on yourselves. Like Eve, you were like, I'm going to go get this job. I'm going to go do this. And Randall, you realized what you had and what you had to do to fix it. And that's the biggest thing when I talk to people who have or feel like they want to separate or are struggling. And usually the people I talk to, it's the woman who's trying to get their partner to do personal growth or change or grow and stuff like that. And they're frustrated because their partner like won't work on the stuff that's wrong. And I say, you can't force them. They have to be willing. And that's what you both are so willing to do the work. And if you're not, one person can do it and the other won't, it's not going to happen. So I think that's like a huge thing here too with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's super important. I think to work on yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
I had to learn that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the understanding of marriage. I've come to realize how important that is. Like I obviously did not have the same situation. My father and I became really close near the end of his life, but like growing up, the example of marriage, my understanding of what a partner was so skewed. I mean, it's forever changing. I'm just starting to understand what a real true marriage and partnership looks like. I had no clue what it really was. And if I would have Megan always jokes. I mean, we shouldn't have gotten married when we got married and we ended up just working through it. But if we got married at 22, 23, like, oh my God.
I always say to him, I'm like,
too early. It was too early for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't mature enough to get married when we got married, let alone 10 years or whatever.
I feel like it would have been a very similar story you just shared.
Yeah, it would have been. Probably, I mean, if I knew what I had and that happened when we separated, maybe I would have been able. Maybe we would have. We probably, if we lasted, we would have separated probably a few times to try to figure it all out. But yeah, I mean, I was no way mature enough and had any understanding of what marriage and a partnership was.
Yeah.
It's something too that your guys' story like just shows so fully is you've been married 17 years, 16 years. We're still figuring out the exact number of years, but you've been married for a long time. And it's like you've had different lifetimes. You know, it sounds like you've had all these different, like looking at your life today and looking at your life when you were in your early 20s, it's a completely different life and different marriage and all that. You guys stuck with it. You worked through the really hard times. You separated, you got back, you learned things. Like marriage is so much work. And while right now you guys are in this like beautiful space because you have communication, if you fight, you know how to deal with it. Like it's not that it's perfect, but you just know how to work through that now. It shows that you really worked at it. And so I guess like one of the questions I'd love to close out with is, I have two more, but one I'd love to close out with is, what's your advice or what would you say to someone who's like, this is so hard, and how do you know that it's worth fighting for? I know it's like a vague question, but you guys really fought for it and it's so beautiful. So how did you know it was like worth fighting for?
I'll say for me, I'll go first. For me, like, and I mean, we had like crazy arguments to the point of we're like, okay, who's going to raise my kid? If such and such, if you got another dude and he's going to be around my kids, like, I'm not going to be happy, this, that, and the other, all the way down to like, and I think this is what nailed it down for me is I'm like, I don't want to be with anybody else. Like, you get on my nerves. You get on my last damn nerves. But like, I don't want to be with anybody else. So it's like, because if you're with somebody else, you just got a new set of problems, right? So you know your problems. Like, I know my problems with her. I know what she's going to do. I know what she's not going to do. I know how to deal with them, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, Like, I don't want to be with anybody else. I don't want to experience any other problems because I know no matter what I go through, that she's going to have my back. Like, and how can you depend on that from a stranger?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I remember our therapist in one of our first sessions saying, like, everyone thinks the grass is greener, right? And it's like, yeah, sure, you meet somebody, whatever, it's like that immediate oxytocin or whatever, you know, like, and it's like, okay, it's beautiful. It's like, no, then you just got a whole new set of shit to deal with. It's I remember our therapist always, she was like, just because something's this, just it's not going to be like that forever.
Exactly.
And it's very much, it's pretty eye-opening when you say something.
Yeah. I mean, we have friends and associates and stuff that have divorced, and they were like, it looks fun out here, dating, having fun, but it's not. Like, they've honestly traded in old problems for just bigger ones. And some of them, you know, if you guys are listening out here, like, we love you, but we know some of you guys regret it, and we love the advice that they give us. So like we love what you guys have. When they see us, that's what they say, and they're like, we want you guys to keep making it. Like, show people that it can actually be possible, because some of them, you know, they miss that.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's not pretty.
Yeah, having people rooting for you in your marriage, like, it's huge. And we have that. Like, so I mean, we're blessed in that way. Like, we don't have a bunch of people trying to tear it down.
I love that. And it's the support you have, and also, like we were saying before, you're not painting this perfect picture. And I think a lot of people think marriage is going to be easier than it is. And when it gets hard, it's so easy to quit. And of course, there's certain situations where staying together is not the right situation, you know, and there's, of course, like, we have friends and family and things that it was like, oh, that was definitely the right move to not be together. But like you said, I literally was like, I can't talk right now, I'm going to cry from this answer. It's so beautiful. But when you knew it was worth fighting for, it's like, life's hard. Like, life is just hard. It's going to be hard no matter what. And if you can go through it with someone that you really love and respect, even during the hard times, that's incredible. And marriage is so not easy. And I think people expect it to be easy because you're so in love and it's your best friend. But even though you're in love, even though, you know, you are each other's best friends, you still have hard times, even today, you know? And so you go into it with that expectation. And I think that's why you guys are so strong, even when you have those tough times. So I just, again, couple goals. We're getting there, Mike. We're getting there. We're getting better every day. No, but we've grown tremendously. It's been crazy, but I would love to end with you guys just sharing some of your biggest advice for couples who are in business, whether one is in business and the other has a 9-to-5 job or is just supporting them in some way, and or if they are like you, both in business together. What would be some of your advice to them?
Ooh, I can give some quick ones. One, it's definitely like, set up time for dates, because that's the only time you'll turn off working in the business, and not, you know, being in the business is like dating each other. Even if it's like going to like the petting farm zoo, which is like on my 100 dates calendar up there. We got to get to the zoo. But like going to a new coffee shop, he just wants the coffee. Sometimes he doesn't, but he knows I like trying new coffee shops. It's a thing. But like dating and like very like non-accusatory, and sit there and listen, communication of what you need, what you want, what's not working. And sometimes I just have to preface this with, he knows when it's coming. I'm like, don't get mad, but, and then I'll just say it. But it took a lot to get there. But I'm like, that just set the stage for him to go, okay, she's going to say something hard or really true or honest or what she needs, but I'm just going to listen long enough to like hear it, take a breath, wait a couple seconds, and then like he'll talk. But we've had to learn to do that. But that's really important. We have to just have really honest conversations, and me not worry about what he's going to say. Like, this is like level 10 of communication. We couldn't even talk. Like, we would just fight. I mean, I would throw coffee mugs, irons. I was I'm definitely the crazy part of the Gemini side would come out. I mean, I was very
I was
mad.
2 times running down the street from her. Yeah.
Now I get it. I get it.
One of
Megan,
those when we first started. Like, you guys.
I just found out the true side of the Gemini.
Mike, I'm a Gemini too, obviously, as you know, Eve. So we share those qualities.
Yeah.
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 No, what you said is so true. Like, so I remember Megan and I have like our executive meeting, our meetings, and it's setting the space in that moment to know like this is what we're going to talk about. And this could be hard, and this can be it's just difficult.
Uncomfortable.
And every time I would always, uncomfortable. I really focus on my breath during a lot of this, and Megan always thinks I'm done speaking. And I'm like, I'm just breathing for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Can you let me talk? I'm just taking a breath so I don't react. And just let me talk. And she'll always be like, okay, just hold on.
It's
This
I'm like,
is
oh,
the same.
yeah, I'm not allowed to talk. He just needs to breathe. Like he needs to finish his thought, you know, it's pretty funny. So, and to this day, we still struggle with that. So it's like an ongoing thing.
Do you have other advice?
I mean, for me, like we don't do roles, but for me, like I take a different role in the business because I know what she needs. Like, so for me, like I look at her as, okay, she's the creative in our business. She's going to build programs. She's going to do this. She's going to do that. And she's also like a stress ball. And me, like I'm more laid back. I'm more lax. So part of my responsibility, I feel like, is to make sure that she's not stressed. So if it's like a bogey that comes out of nowhere that needs to be dealt with, I'm always like, I got it. Give it to me, because I don't need you stressed when you need to have your creative mind going, or you need to be doing this, that, and the other. I'd rather me stay up late and work on this or do that. So you can be fresh. But that's just trying to be there for her in that form and fashion. And then like a technique I learned at work one time. I was in like a training at work, and it's like just like a bank account. You never want your bank account to go in the red, right? So, or your savings account. So you're always depositing money into your savings account to continue building that balance up. So when you do have to pull an emergency fund out of it, you still have something left over. So that's what I look at when I'm trying to build her up. Like I'm trying to tell her good things. I'm trying to take her on dates. I'm trying to do whatever I can, buy her flowers or this, that, and the other, because at some point it's going to be something that goes wrong. And when it goes wrong, I need her to know that, okay, something might have went wrong and it can knock us down here, but it won't knock us below to where we're in the red anymore. We still got plenty to build on. And so the thing I'm always just trying to do is put some positivity in it.
I love that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people call it. A lot of people say like you got to fill up the cup. So then like when you want to say you take a little sip. It's
I love that.
But yeah,
that's a really good visual.
Yeah, it is. I think you explained that. I haven't heard the way you've explained it. I think it was really good. It's very simple.
Yeah.
You said you don't want to deplete the bank account. You just want to,
just take a little while.
I think Megan does. People come to him for marriage advice all the time. He doesn't talk like this on Instagram and stories, and this is why I'm glad we have a podcast. People come to him, even if it's just like a question. They gravitate to him for marriage advice, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's amazing. It is amazing, but then it shows how much he's grown and matured, and then what people see from us. Like we don't try to act perfect; it comes off perfect. Our marriage is much easier now, but I don't know if we would have made it if he wouldn't have had this kind of growth. Like he carries us more than he knows. So I want you to know that.
Thanks.
I love you.
Oh, I love this. I love it. And you guys said like you don't have set defined roles necessarily, but you know what your strengths are. And like, I love how you said, and Mike does this very well for me when I'm in a launch or a busy season. Like if you got to be on and you're in a big launch and Eve's got to create, like I'm going to take all of those small things off of her plate. So she doesn't have to think. Like he'll do the dishes, he'll do things around the house, he'll figure out flights for home. And I don't touch any of that. So I can just like live in that zone. That is so huge. And that's really, I mean, even if you weren't working in the business, I think there's ways that someone can do that for their partner. Like, how can I take things off your plate? And that is like, whether your love language is acts of service or not, I think that's going to be so huge for your growth in both your business and your marriage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love it. You guys, we could talk for hours and hours, but I want to respect your time. Thank you so much for coming on the first Couples Convos podcast. Where can everyone go follow you, fall in love with you even more? You have an awesome podcast yourself. So tell us about the podcast and then where they can go follow you on social.
Sure. Our podcast is the Macros for Life podcast. And so the Instagram handle is what? At
Macros for life.
Okay, Macros for Life podcast. So
Macros for life podcast.
at Macros for Life podcast. And then our website is gtransformationacademy.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Awesome.
on that, you know,
Well, on our
Instagram
platforms,
page, you'll be able to come find our individual pages too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And
We'll make
thank you guys for having us as well. We're excited to be here. Yeah,
Of course.
It's so fun. And I just felt like I had to start off with someone like I'm so comfortable with. And so thank you for this is gonna sound really corny, popping our couples convos cherry. We're just gonna go there. We're gonna go there. We're doing it. We're doing it. It's awkward. It's pretty awkward. It's fine. We'll make sure everyone goes follow your Instagrams, all of that. Go subscribe to the podcast because you guys don't just talk about macros. You talk about marriage. You talk about business. Like it is full scope. I think it's so incredible. So definitely go listen to the podcast. If you love this interview with them, you're going to really, really want to subscribe to their podcast. And thank you, Mike, for being my amazing co-host on this first episode. I love you. Mike, what's your new social media?
I don't have it. We're working on it.
Well, Mike just created.
We're not promoting the poker Instagram.
He created a poker Instagram and he follows me, and I'm like, who's following me? I'm like, wait, you created an Instagram for your poker.
There will be poker Instagram stuff.
Yeah, eventually. But thank you for being here, honey. This was really, really fun to do together. So
this was, yes. I enjoy this. I enjoy conversations. They're fun.
Yeah, I enjoy conversations. They're fun.
I like deep conversations.
Yeah, they're a good time. Thank you guys so much. You're so incredible. Everyone go follow Eve and Randall. And I just appreciate you all for being so honest and open about what it really takes, because again, like it does look perfect at moments, but you've just shared that it's not. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but you also have shared that it's so worth it and you're so happy and stronger than ever. So thank you for inspiring us all. And we'll see you guys all on the next one. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.